Alright guys, what's going on? So, we're back. Sorry for the little hiatus I had to take. I got home and just didn't really have time, honestly. I didn't have any days off work or anything, so we're back at it. This is going to be probably the most interesting one that you guys are going to like the most. This is hacking wireless. Um, so, basically this is hacking routers that, wireless routers, access points, things like that. So, this is basically I'm going to show you guys it and teach it to you, but I'm also going to explain some stuff because this is a very simplified version of basically what it can take, right? So first thing we're going to do is, or first thing you need is you need a wireless adapter that can be put into monitor mode, which is why you can't see it, but I'm using my old laptop because it has a very good adapter for monitoring mode, and it's already compatible with Kali. I didn't have to go through any hoops to try and get it working or anything like that. So I use this specific just to capture the handshake. This laptop with the built-in adapter, just to show you guys because it's very simple, very easy. So as you can see over here, we've got uh, already a terminal open for you guys, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. So I do have notes here because I don't memorize every command, obviously. So first thing we're going to do though is we're going to do airmon ng. So this is a suite of tools that basically is used for wireless cracking. I'm not going to cover WEP cracking or any outdated cracking. The main reason for that, uh, it's very rare you see them anymore, and it's not going to benefit you much. You can figure that out pretty easy. They're very very easy to crack. So this is going to be WPA. So okay, so first thing we're going to do airmon ng. So there's another thing you can do. So all this does is tell us, you see it says interface, and there's our interface. That's the name of it. So another way you can do this is ifconfig, which all of you know. But there's my interface. Now, you see mine already says WLAN0 mon, right? So if you do airmon -ng start in WLAN0, because that's what wireless LAN adapter 0, that's what it normally will be named. I already put mine in monitor mode, so that's why it's called WLAN 0 mon, okay? So you can see here, this is the command you'd use, airmon ng start WLAN 0, and that would put it in monitor mode. You see if I click enter here, it's going to say, okay, it doesn't have that. That WLAN mon is already there, so it's not going to put it back in monitor mode. It's already in monitor mode. So we're good there. So now we're going to do airmon ng, and we're going to say WLAN, or we're going to do arrow dump, which is basically just part of the suite of tools. And we're going to say we want just our regular adapter, WLAN mon, right? And this is going to basically capture all the packets around you and say, here's everything going on in all the networks, right? So let's go ahead and look at it. Okay. So we'll go ahead and control C. We've got what we want. So the one we're going to be, this is my test Wi-Fi basically. So the one we're going to be doing is a Cisco 2911. So the first thing we need, no matter what, is we need this BSS ID. Okay. We'll go ahead and copy that. Now, typically on a pen test, or if I'm actually doing something, I would have like a notepad open on my other screen, and I'd be putting these notes down, like this is the BSS ID for this access point, etc. So that way I don't have to keep going back to terminals and stuff, just so you know. Just kind of a trick, I guess. But okay, so we've got what we want, right? That's the one we're going to do, and we know what channel it's on. It's on 6, okay? So now that we know it's on 6, and we know the BSS ID of it, which is kind of very important, we're going to actually kind of specify. So what we're going to do is we're going to do arrow dump dash ng, and then from there we're going to basically say we want the BSS ID. So BSS ID, and now keep in mind with any of these tools you can just type like just arrow dump dash ng, and it'll give you the list of the syntaxes and the different options and things like that. So that's important to know. So we're going to say BSS ID, right? And then I'm going to give it the BSS ID. So the BSS ID we just pasted. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to say what channel is it on. So we're going to say it's on 6, which, correct, yeah. So it's on 6. So we're going to say, okay, it's on 6. And then we're going to say we want to write it to a file. So I'm just going to put it on the desktop. And then I'm going to make it, we'll just say CEH. Okay, so easy enough. So CEH. So what this is going to do is it's going to just listen on that channel. It's going to block all the other information out and say only stuff from this specific access point do I want to hear from? And it's going to just capture it and write it to that file, right? So we'll go ahead and hit enter. And you guys will see, oh, whoops, got to put WLAN afterwards, WLAN 0 mon. Okay, and you guys are going to see how quick this really could go. I could make this very, very fast. So, and what I mean by that is how quick it actually takes to get the handshake, which is all that's important. So, okay, so it's listening, right? So it's listening. It's trying to capture a handshake, okay? And a handshake is when you log into your Wi-Fi at home, right? Okay, so it's already showing there's something on it. So I'm going to let this run for a minute. But what it's saying is when you log into your system at home, or when you automatically come home, right, and you have your phone or your laptop or whatever, and it auto connects, that uses a handshake and it sends it to the router basically, or the modem, and says, this is my authentication, right? We're trying to capture that out of the air. We're trying to say, when they send the authentication, give it to me. So what we're going to do is actually pretty neat. We're going to got another terminal open. What we're going to do is we're going to say deauthenticate. And what that means is send a split-second packet that tells whatever device, it says, hey, kick it off real quick for a split second to where it doesn't even notice, and it'll automatically re-authenticate. It'll automatically send it back. And when it does that, we capture out of the air. Okay? Now, the version, or not the version, excuse me, the command I'm going to use is very loud right now. Okay? There are ways to send like 1 or 2 deauthentication packets and hope that you don't, catch them, whatever. But we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to say, okay, air replay. Okay? So air replay, if you guys don't know, is part of the suite of tools. So we'll just do air replay-ng and show you guys kind of so here's the syntax. Okay? And here's all the different stuff you can do. So there's B for BSSID. That's what we're going to need. That's one of the ones we're going to need. Let's see. We've got, you can set the source MAC address. You can set target SSID. You can do all kinds of stuff. So C knows seconds between keep alive. So if you're really trying to not be loud on this, you can kind of like set like, hey, you can just really change some options and send the way you're going to deauthenticate it. This is my test network. I'm not worried about getting, busted or anything like that. So we're going to do air replay. If I can type -ng, okay? And then from there, we're going to say we want deauthenticate. So deauth, okay? And then we're going to say 0. So what 0 tells it, so like I said, you can specify how many stations you want, how many packets. So what that means is a station is just a device on that network, right? So your phone, your laptop, whatever. So I'm just going to do 0. And what that means is just deauthenticate everything on that network. Send everything off and listen for the authentication, okay? So that's not that big a deal because we're not worried about getting caught, right? Now keep in mind, if you do this, okay, this is actually a very big crime because when you deauthenticate someone, what happens is you disable their service, right? So if I just let this run on my access point will be useless. Nothing will be able to connect. It'll just keep deauthenticating from it, okay? So the reason that's important to know is because that is a crime, and I believe it's a felony in most states because you're denying service, okay? So there's deauth 0, okay? So that's going to say deauthenticate everything. That's what we wanted, right? So now we've got that. We're going to do the A, which is if we go up here, we'll do, where's A? I saw it. Oh, I saw it. Maybe I didn't. Alright, we'll do B. It used to be A, but whatever. B. Basically, we just want the access point. So we'll say B, and then the BSSID. There's the BSSID, okay? And that's what we want. And then you can actually, if you wanted to, and I'll show you here, you can actually, this tax C, set destination MAC address. You can actually, if you watch them long enough on the other, so you see, I'll show you right here actually. This is actually the station ID. So what that means is that's the MAC address of whatever that is, whether it's a laptop, a phone, whatever. That's the actual MAC address of that. So you can actually send it specifically to that if you did a tax C. That tax C will, as you can see, the tax C here is a destination MAC address. So if I actually did that, it would specify only send these packets to that host, okay? So that might be important if you know that host is something that no one's using, a printer or something like that, right? That type of stuff, no one will notice right away that it's being de-authenticated. That's kind of the thought process there, okay? So now, once we do this, right? So now we're going to do the WLAN 0 mon. Okay, so it is TAC A. I don't know why it says up there there is no TAC A. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I just didn't read it. So, okay, so waiting for beacon frame. Da, da, da. Hold on. Go ahead and cancel that out. See what we did here. All right, so we de-authenticated. We did all systems on that BSSID. Yeah, I'm not sure why I was saying that, but we'll just do it again. Waiting for beacon frames. Okay, so this basically what you're wanting here is, but it's not actually, for some reason it's not sending them. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe I have the BSSID wrong. Maybe I have like a space in there or something. Let me look at the BSSID over here, and we'll just recopy it. Oh, there is no BSSID here. All right. All right, so we'll go ahead and go back, make sure that nothing, we'll go back and do this right here, and make sure that that's still the same BSSID and everything, or we didn't get the wrong one. And it looks like, so sometimes this type of stuff will happen, and what it is this, it just has to be so specific. Like I could have had a space in there or something. So make sure that's the same one. And the other thing you have to watch for is these things don't always stay on the same channel. And what that means is they do if you program that way, right? But they're trying to look for the open channel. So let's look, make sure the BSSID is correct. E8 ED05 88 1930. Okay, cool. So correct channel, everything's cool. We'll do CEH1 so it doesn't keep rewriting the file. Boom. Yeah, I didn't do WLAN 0 mon again. Boom. Okay. And so now, there we go. Now it's listening. I don't know why it stopped before. Maybe I just let it run too long explaining. So now we're going to do the same thing here. So yeah, it looks like we do have a different, oh no, we don't. We're good. Okay. So, now we'll hit enter. There we go. So that's what we wanted. Yeah, I just stopped listening. So see all those deauthentication packets? Now, here's an easy way to do this. So you go on your phone, and I'll go here, because I think my phone's the only thing connected to this. And I'll just keep clicking connect. And it's just an easy way to send it, or to make it go faster, right? And again, this, just because there's only one thing on it, that's the main reason it's going to take so long. Um, it won't usually take this long, because you'll have usually 5, 6, 7, 8, things on the pack or on the network that you're deauthenticating. But if I keep trying to connect to this network, it'll catch it. And you notice the frames are going up. That's me sending it, sitting here saying connect, connect, connect. And all we're looking for, or all we're waiting for, excuse me, is one thing that says handshake up here. And like I said, it can take a while depending on what it's capturing. But usually if you have all kinds of, whatchamacallit, all kinds of, uh, hosts on there, all kinds of stations, it will capture it very quickly. And it also depends on how close you are to the network, things like that, because you're grabbing it out of the air, right? And now we'll go back and we'll check and make sure the deauthentication is still sending, because you don't, if that stops, you're obviously not going to. Okay, so it's still sending. Good. No, see, that's the problem, is my phone wants to reconnect to the my other internet. And if we don't get it, it's not a big deal. I got it right before I did this video, and I can show you guys what it is. Like I said, it's harder to capture it with one specific, and it will if you sit here long enough. But the problem with that is you have to understand you're denying this person's service, right? So if my internet goes out and it's out for 10 minutes, there's a lot more likelihood that I say something's up, right? Than if it goes out for 30 seconds. So that's kind of what your thought process should be. And what you can do is you can actually stop this. So I'll go ahead and stop this. Maybe. There's my mouse. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stop sending the deauthentication. Maybe I controlled C and it just went past it. So okay, so we went ahead and stopped it for now. And then we'll go ahead and pull this up. Watch it. Okay, cool. So what we're looking for is right up here. This will say handshake. Okay, and when it finds that handshake, that's what you want. So now that we know, so now let's go ahead and do it again. Okay, so it's going to send it again, and then we're going to go over here. And like I said, this can take time, so keep that in mind. This isn't something that is necessarily a one hit for sure. You have to do this a couple times, but it definitely works a lot better if you have a lot more hosts on it. And like I said, if we don't get it, it's not a big deal because I already have captured it once. Yeah, I'm not gonna, for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna make you guys sit here. But basically, you'll see that'll say captured or handshake, and it'll have a handshake. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll pull over the file of. This is the cap file that I've captured the actual handshake on, and that was I captured that right before the video. So that's you notice it's a Wireshark file. Okay. So the reason that's important, excuse me, and is just because of the format. You can use this suite of tools to actually read that file. That's why it's important. Because when you save this file, when you write the file using Air Replay, it's actually going to write 3 different files. You want the cap file, so that's why it's kind of important that you see that. You guys can't see my home screen, so that's the reason I'm telling you. But anyway, so here's another thing. I'm going to show you an example of a word list. So if you guys aren't familiar with what word lists are, basically the easy way to put this, these are lists that people make based on the individual or based on what they know of someone, right? So the common one is the rocku.txt. If you guys don't know what that is, in Kali Linux, it's a word list that comes pre-installed. It's a huge list. I'm talking, I think it has millions and millions of words, common passwords, okay? The most common passwords in the world. And it's going to run them against it. So if you guys don't know, basically what a computer does when you give it a password, it doesn't save that password on the computer as just the password, right? Because then someone could find it. It hashes it or encrypts it, basically. And then it puts that hash down there. That's in place of the password. The reason for that is then now if someone finds that file, they can't read it. So what you can do, because unhashing it is just damn near impossible, right? So what you can do is you can actually take a word and hash it and see if the hashes match, because they're always going to be the same hash for the exact same word. So that's what your computer does. So that's why for this example word list, you'll see I didn't make it really large because, see, I just made quite a few, 10, 20 passwords, whatever is there. The reason I did that is because otherwise, you guys, if you have a big enough word list, you can sit here for days while it runs and cracks it, and it'll do thousands of words a second. That's how many words you can get into a word list. The big thing is really good password crackers, they make their own lists. So they learn about you, they go to your social media, they do this, that, whatever, find out what you like, where you live, things about you, and they make their own word list, and word lists are pretty easy to make. I might make a video on it. I think I did one on stream one time, and it was pretty cool to show how to make word lists very quickly. So anyway, so this is the list we're going to be using, okay? That's the only reason that's important to know is so you can see that it's not a very big list, so it's going to take very, very short time. So we'll go ahead and clear this. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to take every one of those words, hash it, compare it to the hash in that cap file, and if it matches, we know we have a password. If it doesn't match, go to the next one. So that's basically what we're doing. So now we can go to Aircrack, okay? And this is the tool that actually cracks the password. And if I push it, you can see, we'll go ahead and look at the syntax. Okay, so we have, so you can filter it using usable packets, so that can make it go a little faster possibly, depending on how big your capture file is. Um, so the real ones we're going to look at are those top ones, the common options there. So what we're going to do, you can see the TAC A and then the second option, excuse me, WPA, that's what we're cracking. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say Aircrack TAC NG. We're going to say we want B because you want the BSSID because the capture file has that saved. Okay, so the reason for that is because technically on that capture file you could capture, so what you can do if you don't know is you can put your device in monitor mode and just sit there and capture packets. So this BSSID will actually filter out what where the packets are coming from, so it can read that capture file. Now obviously we only watched one BSSID, so that's all that's going to be in there, but it's still good to do. Okay, so now the other thing you're going to do, and I didn't even do it, was the A2. So you're going to do A2, and that's just, it'll figure it out if you don't put it, but this saves it some time and thinking, right? So you want to, basically you're saying we want to hack WPA. Okay, so we're good there, or crack it, excuse me, not hack it. So now we got to specify what file it's actually, we don't want to write it to anything. You can write it to a file if you want to. It's not a big deal. If you have the password, you have the password. But you can write it to a file for like a report or something like that. That's why it's important. So that TAC W would write it to a file, so you could actually do it later and see the report. But we already know what the password's going to be. So now we can go ahead and say what word list we want. So the TAC W is the word list that we're going to specify. That's the one that we have on so root desktop. And you see the example, right? Example word list. So we're good. So that's the word list we're going to use to compare it. Okay. So the main reason that's important is because if you make your own word list, you want to specify it. But if you're using a word list on the machine, because Kali does come with pre-installed word lists, understand that that's not an all-inclusive list, right? That's just common passwords. So now we have the word list, and now we're going to specify which file that we actually are trying to crack. So root desktop. And then it's that crack tech02.cap. Okay? And I always do that. I always just go to CA and push tab just to see, make sure it can find it because that means it's correct, or the syntax correct. So now we'll go ahead and hit enter, and you'll see it's going to find it. So understand it's going to find this in about 1/10 of a second. You're not even going to see it. It's just going to come up and say, here's the password. That's only because there's only 10 passwords. It can do thousands per second, right? Now, so you'll see, okay, there's your password. Key found. Air Force 24. That's our just easy password. It found it in a matter of seconds because it was in that list. Now, this are all the keys. Now, keep in mind what it normally is going to do is it's just going to sit there and run. And this could take an hour, take 2 hours, take 10 hours, depends on what list you use. Now, there are also what they call hybrid tables, which are pre-hashed passwords for you. Those will basically, or rainbow tables, whatever you want to call them, those will actually basically just save your computer some power and time because it doesn't have to hash the word for you. And then you can crack stuff a lot faster. But you can buy terabytes of words that are there that are already in a rainbow table, and then compare them. And I mean, it's pretty impressive. But basically, like I said, that's it, guys, as far as hacking Wi-Fi. It's super, I don't want to say super simple, but this is why, right here is the reason that people say password policies are important. The reason that people say, make sure your passwords is more than 8 characters. Make sure you don't use common words, things like that you hear all the time. This is why. Because you notice a password like Air Force 24, okay? If anyone did any effort on me at all, right? If they were trying to hack me, if anyone had any effort, now luckily this is my test Wi-Fi, so I'm not too worried about it. But if anyone had any effort, and by that I mean they just looked up anything about me, they would know I'm in the Air Force. You would include Air Force in your word list, right? And then, like I said, with word list tools to make word lists, you can put just this word Air Force, and then you can put any character after that. And what I mean by that is that you can use like a wild card that says make a word list with any character after Air Force, and it'll say Air Force 00001, Air Force 0002, Air Force 000, and it'll do it, and it'll say Air Force 1, Air Force 2, Air Force 3, and it'll just keep making, and it can make these in seconds. So that would be caught on a word list like that. I mean, it's fast and it's easy, and I know for a fact that's um on the Cali word list as well. But I didn't want to do it for the sake of time because I think it just takes a couple minutes to find that, but this was instant and I can explain it to you guys. So, like I said, that's it for cracking Wi-Fi. There's other ways to do things like to crack Wi-Fi, but this is the kind of known method, I guess, or the method that most people use. And what I mean by that isn't everything's a case by case basis. We all know this. So it's not like this is going to work everywhere. And the reason I say that is because some people are going to have passwords that you can sit there for years and you're not going to brute force it, you know? If especially like I know like AT&T and them on the back of their modems have those passwords that are 15 characters long. They're random numbers and letters. If you don't change that, now granted most people change it because they can't remember that. But if you don't change that, no one's getting in that. And I mean, yes, there are other ways, but realistically, you're not going to crack that password using a word list, okay? Or brute forcing because it's going to take you forever. So that's it, guys. Let me know if you guys like this. This should be, I could have made this video a lot shorter, but I wanted to kind of explain things to you guys because I don't want people following these steps and then just saying, okay, I know how to hack Wi-Fi because that's very dangerous. You can get caught very quickly and it's just not good. So don't do this unless you have a test network like me or you have permission, okay? And like I said, this is one of the easiest ways to get in trouble because firewalls, routers, modems, they keep logs, okay? So it's going to say that this happened. But that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see more of this stuff, I'm going to try and do mobile hacking next. The problem with mobile hacking is basically I don't really want to hack my own phone on stream, or I mean on camera. The only reason I say that is because number one, I don't have a capture card for my phone. Don't really want to buy one for a one video thing. The other reason is I might use an old phone or something, is because as soon as you do that, you're making your phone vulnerable. So we'll see, but I'll figure it out. We'll do something, but I'm gonna just kind of play it by ear and see what the next video is going to be. But we're running to the end of this series, guys, and we're right there at, I think we might have one or two videos left, and then we're going to try and I'll probably do a Linux basics for hackers, and we'll just go chapter by chapter in that book and go through some of the stuff that you guys can use. So let me know what you guys think. If you like it, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe so that you guys can keep seeing these videos and keep getting more content. Thanks.